So Michael, one thing I read about you is that you were the youngest performer ever at the Magic Castle.
Yeah.
What is this?
Well, yeah, I grew up performing at the Magic Castle. I grew up as a magician.
Oh.
I was an only child.
Okay.
Listen. And the Magic Castle is a famous club in Hollywood, and it's basically where magicians from all around the world train and study. And I was technically 12, and I was big on the bar mitzvah circuit, you know.
Is that when you figured out that you were funny? When you're doing the magic?
Yeah, and people always laughed. You know, I was kind of like the class clown, you know. I loved that energy. Doing magic was kind of like the best training for theater that you could possibly get, because you're writing, you're performing, you're directing yourself. It's like a one-man show. I was studying at Harvard, and I...
Were you studying writing? What were you studying?
I was studying government and English, yeah.
Because what did you think you were going to do?
Well, I thought I was going to work on political campaigns.
Oh, sure, okay.
You know, I thought I was going to be like, you know, one of those gay guys with a clipboard and like, you know, an iPad and like tapping on the whole thing, like, go for Charles. No, you know, that's what I thought I was going to do.
And then you studied writing, and so like, where did the writing inspiration come from?
So this professor knew about my background as a performer, and he was like, you should write a play. Oh. And I tried it. I wrote a one-act play. I basically was trying to process my identities at that time. Like, you know, what does it mean to be queer and Iranian and Jewish and all these different things that don't quite fit together. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, theater gave me a chance to explore that more fully and to really claim those identities on my own terms and to redefine them on my own terms.
You asked your mom if you could interview her to hear her story, and that it was maybe a kernel for a writing project, but that she hadn't really told you her whole immigration story until before then. Is that right?
Yeah, you know, my mom was always, she never really talked about Iran much. I think it was this like, she wasn't really comfortable talking about it. We never, and anytime I'd ask, she'd always sort of like make a joke or put it aside or that kind of thing. And I went on this retreat. I went on the Lambda Literary, I was a fellow with Lambda Literary, and I went on this retreat, and the leader of the retreat was Luis Alfaro, who's an amazing playwright.
I love Luis.
Love him. Yeah. And he led this exercise that was like, basically put your hand on your heart, feel the heartbeat of a character, and listen to what you hear. Wow. And I did that, and I heard the voice of my mother. And I sort of just like was confused, and I just like listened to this person speaking to me. And I wrote down what I heard, and then I interviewed her. I set a recorder down for about 30 minutes, and we just chatted. And I think that setting down the recorder opened something up for her, like it allowed her the sort of permission or whatever to talk about these things. And I also gave me permission to ask questions that I had never asked. And what was so interesting was like a lot of what I had imagined actually turned out to be true to her story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, and then, you know, obviously the parts that, you know, the play is based on her life. And so, you know, that interview informed the play in major ways.
Is it joyful being the only person on stage? Is it scary? What does that feel like?
So it's a solo show, but I'm being supported by a team of like 40 people. Yeah. You know, and I'm not really alone up there, because the set is a character, you know, in the play. The costume, you know, in many ways has a lot of character and it brings something new, and you know, your posture changes when you're in this costume. And so yeah, and then I have the audience too. Right. You know, and there's a shared exchange between us, and that's what adds to the surprise and what adds to the fun, is just like you're in it and you don't know what's going to happen.
I love it. Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.
And we're all really looking forward to seeing the show.
I'm excited.